Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm still getting set up. I popped on early tonight to give everyone a chance to come on in. Hello, hello. Welcome on in, everybody. Happy Sunday. We made it to Sunday. That's good, right? Happy about that. Hello, hello. Yes, yes, yes. I'm still kind of sorting things out here. So, is that good? Okay, excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you told me. Hopefully, I will be in frame. Fridays are better. Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure. We've got to figure out the best way for this whole thing to go. I'm still figuring it out. We'll work it out at some point. I feel confident at some point we'll get it. But welcome in, everybody. Good to see you. Good to see you. We've got a busy week ahead of us this week, so hopefully it'll be a good week. It's a little close cut off on both sides a tiny bit. Yeah, let me pop it up a little bit more here and see if this works better. There we go. I think that might be better. Good evening. Hello. Yes, there we go. I think it was just too close. I think it's better now. How are we? Are we better? Are we in better frame? That should be a little bit better. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think we were just too low. Can't see the little calendar. True, true. I use the calendar kind of just as a place marking. There we go. I should be able to get it in frame. There we go. That's better. Yes. Well, welcome everybody. I'm way early tonight. I know the notifications haven't been going quite right lately, so I wanted to make sure to give everybody time to come in. Hopefully some people are getting their notifications. Last time I think somebody said they were in the chat for maybe half an hour and then they got a notification. So like that could have gone better, I think. I think that, it could have been better. But that's okay. We'll figure it out. A lot of things have been going on over this weekend. Hopefully everybody is still doing all right and getting ready for Monday. This is my special sub chat only for my subscribers. Everyone, of course, is welcome to hang out. But just the chat's turned on for my subscribers tonight, just as a very special thank you. Hello, Kristen. Good to see you. Yes, yours was last time, but okay, excellent. I'm glad you're able to. Yeah, I think if I come on a little bit earlier, it sends those notices out a little bit earlier. So hopefully, yes, welcome, Casey. Mentioned you in, really? Oh my goodness, Kristen. Oh, oh, I'm bummed I missed your live. I've got to sign up for that so I can get notifications. That was fun. What live were you listening to? Can you share? Oh, if it's a secret, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to tell me. It's all right if it's a secret. No, tell me. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness. Yes, it has been quite a Sunday for me today, everybody. Quite a Sunday. So I am very, very happy to be here also. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but I did, and I'm very, very happy about that. We all complimented you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it. It's so fun coming and hanging out with everybody. I really am having such a great time doing that. It's been very fun for me, for sure. Hopefully fun for you all as well, but for me, yes. Hello, hope all is well. Yes. Misha for Change, really? Oh, she did a send-off. Oh, no. Oh, is she going to make another account? Oh, dear. I don't know the backstory. I hope all is well, though. I hope she is doing well. But, yeah, there's been some shakeups recently on the TikTok over here. I think a lot of people have been moving things around a little bit. So oh, no. Oh, that's so sad. No. Oh, her family. Oh, that is, oh, yikes. Yikes. Done for the holidays. Well, maybe permanently. Well, she can reassess and figure out what's best for her and in her world. It's always good to take a little break though and kind of reassess. But hopefully she will have other ways of being able to say hello to everyone and keeping in touch. So I wish her the best. But I think there's been some interesting things going on here in TikTok land recently. So hopefully things will calm down a bit. At least I'm really, really hoping things will calm down. It's been a little bit nuts recently. It's not just for me, but for lots of people, I've heard it's been a little bit nuts. So hopefully things will settle down. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, everybody. So has everyone had a great Sunday? I plugged you in case you understand constitutional. Oh, great. Thanks, Kristen. Appreciate that. Hello, Roberta. Hello. Has everyone had a good Sunday so far then? Hopefully everything has been going well. And lawyerly types. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. So tonight I had planned to do a couple of different things, but I'm going to kind of narrow our focus a little bit. So things in the world won't calm down until true story. And the room blew up. Oh no! No. Oh my goodness. Kristen. No. Oh my goodness. That's so sweet. I'm so thankful for people who are finding things interesting and coming and hanging out with me. But we've got a couple of things. I do want to let everybody know I will be going over the Ohio issue 1 tomorrow. So that will be tomorrow's live. I've got something a little bit different for us tonight, but legal Yoda. But I will be going through issue 1 tomorrow, everybody. So that'll be tomorrow's big topic. I know there's been a lot of questions about Ohio. So I've got issue 1 and I've got their constitution. So that will be tomorrow's live. So I'll go through all of that. I know a lot of people have been really worried about it, and that's totally understandable. But that's what I'm planning to do for tomorrow, kind of getting that sorted out. So pass it along to anyone who might be interested. But for tonight, I wanted to come on in and say hello to everybody and set out our calendar here. So we've got kind of a busy week. We've got some different things that are needing to be filed. We have apparently our hearing on the motion for summary judgment for the New York civil case is supposed to be heard tomorrow. Now, I've checked other dockets and they don't have it marked as tomorrow. Mine was marked as soon as the order came out setting the date. So this is a bit of a question mark. I'm pretty sure, according to the order, it's set for the 13th, but I have a question mark there, so we will see. Best kept secret. Shh, yes, that's right. We're just over here in our little world. It was emotional. Oh, well, that is hard. That's hard when she's, she's walking away too. It's got to be difficult. I'm sure she's made a lot of friends here also, so it's hard to kind of step back for sure. Oh my goodness. Good evening, John. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. So we've got that hearing coming up. That's the New York case. And then we've got Tuesday open. And then we have a couple of Florida motions that are due here, and then a DC motion that's due. So we've got a lot of paperwork due this week, but only one big hearing. And then, of course, we will continue on with the New York civil case. Now, the state has called their last witness, so they should have or will be resting their case, which means the defense will start putting on their witnesses very soon. Sorry for that interest. That's okay, John. Oh, yes. I think anyone that has learning experiences can share with others is so valuable. So valuable to share those experiences, for sure. So that's what's going on this week in the Trump world. But for tonight's live, everybody, I wanted to go through something that's really caught my eye recently, which was the fake electors out of Michigan. So we've kind of touched on this a little bit before, but I have the complaints, the felony complaints for everyone that was charged. So I thought it would be interesting to go through that. Yes, I'm just starting, Sarah. I popped on a little early to give everyone time to come on in. And so welcome on in, everybody. But I've got all of the indictments But more importantly, in my opinion, I've got the complaining witness. So these are the facts that they put together in order to charge everybody. And well, I'm I gotta be careful. I gotta watch my watch my language. But yes, so I thought that would be really interesting to go through tonight. So Michigan's just on my mind lately. There's a lot going on in Michigan, and I really wish them the best. So I thought it would be appropriate to kind of go through the indictments that they had set out. So yes, welcome in everybody. Welcome. Oh, it's good to see all of you. Again, thanks everybody who is listening, who is not part of the sub chat. Just welcome on in. I appreciate you coming and visiting. We're doing a sub chat tonight just for the special thanks to all of my subscribers. No one has to subscribe, of course, but if you do, I wanted to just do a special thank you. So, and also give my moderators a little bit of a break. Moderators are working so hard. Yes. So, John, I wanted to say too, tomorrow's live at 7, because we don't have a very full docket right now in Trump land. I do plan to go through the Constitution pieces of these for Ohio, issue 1, and then this idea of some things that might be going on. So I thought I would go ahead and explain everything that's kind of going on in Ohio and kind of clarify everything and do kind of a Q&A too, to kind of give everybody a chance to ask questions and go through it. So we will do that tomorrow because it's such a huge question right now. They keep bringing up this idea of trying to get the courts to somehow overturn things and so on. So it's a bit of a mess. I thought we could go through that. That would be good to explain. So hello, welcome in. Good to see you. But tonight I thought we could take a trip to Michigan, hopefully. Now I still have an indictment yet for Steve Bannon. Now, I had set that for Friday. We didn't get to it. We didn't have time. But is that indictment still something that people are interested in hearing about? I can kind of set that up sometime this week. I sure hope Arizona indictments get charged and filed soon. Yeah, it's a great question. You know, I saw a reporter out of Arizona. I can't remember which channel it was for, but she was doing this interesting segment where she had found some of the fake electors in Arizona and went up to them and was like asking them questions. And they're like, no comment, and like running away. I thought, like, good for you. Yes. Okay. We will do that then. I will carve some time out for that. So let me get that down. Absolutely, because I've got it ready to go. It's just a matter of getting it on our docket. So he's off the docket from one state. Does that mean he's off for the whole country? Unfortunately, no, Kristen. No, each state will have to go state by state because each state has their own set of rules for putting the candidates on the ballot. So the federal government sets out, how many electors and how the electors need to come in, but the states figure out how to choose the electors. And so each state will have to go independently and make that decision. Yes, very interested in issue 1. Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people are. A lot of people really are. It's become, and it's so fascinating too, because if you remember back in August, I believe it was August, they had tried to change the process of adding a constitutional amendment to include a supermajority vote instead of just a regular majority. And that was voted down. So they've been at it for a while, for sure. I will be doing a live on this tomorrow then at 7, kind of going through and explaining it a little bit better and setting out what the law is, just to kind of clarify things a little bit. Some of the videos are cut short. Oh, Kristen, no, that can't be. No. Oh, man, I tell you, I've been having some problems with the tube of you. You'll have to let me know. I've reposted a couple of videos. So as soon as anyone comments that the video's been cut short, just leave a comment and I will go back through and try to repost it. It's just really interesting how that whole process works. So I'm sorry about that. Just let me know. Let me know, and I will try to get the full ones posted as best as I can. I have to go through TikTok in order to get the lives downloaded. And so how I download them from TikTok sometimes gets a little different. So just a little bit. Hello, Olga. Good to see you. Welcome in. Well, welcome in, everybody. It is 7. I did pop on early tonight just to try to give the algorithm a chance to send out notices for everybody so that I could say hi and to come on in. Hopefully people got notices tonight where you called me out on your thirst trap. Ha, Kristen. I don't know that I posted that one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little bit behind. I might have to go look for that one. You know, I've done so many lives at this point now. I'll have to figure it out. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, I keep posting. I didn't post today. So before I dive too deep, everybody, I have to tell you, oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. So I have to tell you, I had a little bit of a mishap this morning, everybody. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of a rough Sunday. So I'm really glad to be here and hanging out with everybody. But I'm going to have to kind of do, I might have ha-ha'd you, Kristen. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh, Suze, you still haven't gotten it. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I had a little bit of a mishap. So I'll show you here, although I'm pretty embarrassed about it, but I'll just give you a little peek. So here's my peek. I had a little bit of a mishap. I have busted my hand. Did I get a letter from the IRS? No, and thank goodness. Yes, no, I busted my hand, unfortunately. So I will not probably be having this on camera. So I will be going left-handed today, so forgive me. Obama's president, yes. Oh, Sioux Falls and City are the same city? That's interesting, very. Yes, I did. I busted it. You know, I tell you, I wish I had a great story like, you know, I was rescuing a kitten from the sewer or something, but it's a terrible story. But yes, so, well, that's the thing, Kristen. So, you know, lately, I don't know what's been going on. I think a lot of people are struggling, but sometimes I will have really bad dreams. And unfortunately, I can, you know, I kind of punch people. So I woke up this morning and I looked over the side of my bed and I had punched my computer and my table that my computer sits on. And so they're on the floor. Now my computer's turned green. So my monitor's green. Everything's green and it's broken. And then my hand was all messed up and swollen. And the husband's like, "What did you do, woman?" I know. Yes. You know, I didn't really have night terrors much until recently. So usually my husband, he kind of just like, you know, gets himself prepared so that everything's okay, so that he doesn't get attacked. We figured it out, but I went the other way to the other side of the bed. Oh my goodness. Yes, no. I need to make up a better story. It's a terrible story. The doctor was not impressed. Oh, he was not impressed at all. But yeah, he was relieved. Well, you know, he's used to it, you know. We've been together for a long time. So he's used to ducking. Oh my gosh. Yes, I felt, oh no, Katrina, no. I'm so sorry about that. Mom out of bed because he had a dream she's about to get run over. Well, yeah, it was the craziest thing. It was so random. And, you know, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm even on the left-hand side of the bed. And so for me to have used my right hand really took a lot of energy. Oh my gosh. Yes, we just started. Duck and run. Yes. Well, usually I'll talk in my sleep. And so my husband will do the elbow, you know, like hush. or the poke, 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 like, stop talking. But yeah, I don't know what's been going on these last few weeks. So many stories. I know. Yes, I don't know what I'm going to do about my computer. I mean, it works, but the screen is green now. It's like, and I just don't even, I don't even know what I'm doing. Yes. You should be, Emily, you should be set. Yeah, we're only subs right now. Yep, sub chat only. Start the lashing out. I just don't even know what happened. I was dreaming that there was a person in my house throwing a car engine at me. Isn't that a crazy dream? Like, picked up an entire car engine like the Hulk and like was throwing it at me. And so I was punching this person and took out my laptop. So crazy. Take it in before it starts working. I need to. I'm going to, yes. So I had to take myself in first for x-rays. The computer will be next. Yes. Well, I'm glad I kept my thumb out. That's my whole key is, keep your thumb out. Don't tuck your thumb in, ladies. Keep that thumb out. Oh, my goodness. Yes. So it was quite the deal. So I'm okay, but oh, my goodness. We really don't have a lot of home invasions. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's a very, very odd situation. Yes, thumbs always out, people, always out. It's a very odd situation, but nobody got hurt, just the laptop. And that's okay. You're punching out a flying engine. Yes, it was. Like, what am I going to do? Punching an engine. Oh my goodness. I don't know. Oh my gosh. No, not a lot of break-ins by engine. How random is that? It just totally random. Loose cable on the PC. Okay, I'll take a look. Yeah. Well, one side of it popped. I mean, there's like a corner piece of it that popped off too. So I'm going to need a good Chardonnay at some point. Yeah, it was pretty random. I don't know what happened. I don't know, but I'm just, my partner's like, you need to meditate more. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah, I hit it hard. Oh my gosh, everybody, I had to share that. We all have moments. Yes, so repair shop. Yes, I'll need to take it in for sure. I will do that. I'm just glad that my hand isn't too busted. So nobody likes to have a busted up hand. You never know when you're going to need that hand. I was trying to tell the doctor, I read documents on TikTok and we talk about the law and I need my hand. And they're like, stop punching stuff. Oh my goodness. Yes, the sound of flying monitor. Oh my gosh, everybody. Yes. So, forgive me in my left-handed buffoonery here. But we'll make it through nevertheless. I feel safe and secure knowing. Oh yeah, exactly. There's no doubt I can handle a PC. In fact, it's so funny because in the early days when my spouse and I were first together, anytime there was trouble, he would duck behind me because I was so aggressive. Because I was getting ready to go to law school. And so I was like, I could tear the head off a chicken if I needed to at that time. I'm no longer that way, but he would always hide behind me. And so he's like, I don't want to do that again, but I will if I have to. Oh my goodness. Yes. So such is life. Oh my gosh. That poor man. He deals with a lot of crap. He does. He deals with a lot. Well, sometimes it's okay. I used to, but I've calmed down. I leave chickens alone now. He's probably out. He is out. I know, it's true. I've got a little Latina heat going on. All right, all right. Okay, everybody. Well, the show must go on. A very fun show. The left-handed show. So many of you probably have heard we had multiple people charged in Michigan, right? So Michigan had a whole bunch of people that had signed a fake memorandum, a fake letter, and then sent it in to the National Archives and the President of the Senate. All of the people that signed this have all been charged with felonies. Yes, left-handed. I know. It's just fantastic. I wish I was left-handed. I really do. But all of these people were charged. Now, what's so interesting for tonight that I have is not just the indictment on these felonies, but the actual information, the evidence set out by the special investigator. So I thought I would take you through what the investigator actually found in Michigan to back up charging all of the people that were charged. So they didn't even try. Oh, I know it. I mean, it was pretty clear. 16, yes. So I've got all of their indictments here set out. So everyone was charged with the same thing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 counts, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So they were all charged with 8 counts. We have 1, 2, 3 that are 5 years, one that is 14, and then 14, 14, 14, and 14. So that's a lot of jail time. 5 counts at 14 years. Plus the 5. So they're looking at a lot of jail time if it's to run consecutively. Now, I don't know that would happen or not, but it's a lot of time. Huge felonies. So I thought, rather than just going through the language of the felony, let's look at the evidence that they used. So that's where we will start. Do any of them have direct ties? Well, not that I could see as far as specific to one person, but they definitely had ties throughout a lot of different areas. So we will go through this again, and it's just really well written. So we'll start, and I've got my long, you guys are going to have to just bear with me tonight. I've got my chopsticks out so we can follow along. So here we go. We've got the complaining witness on the information and belief. So the information is that trial information. So that's how they've all been charged with multiple felonies in this case. So I affiant, so this person, am a special agent investigator with the Michigan Department of Attorney General. I've spent 26 years experience in law enforcement and criminal investigations. My job duties include the investigation of criminal activity as assigned by the department. In the regular course of my duties, I, along with several other investigators, am involved with the Department of Attorney General's investigation into the 2020 false certificate of votes by Republican candidates for electors submitted to the United States National Archives and President of the United States Senate in support of losing candidate President Donald J. Trump and Vice President Mike Pence in the 2020 election. I submit this affidavit in support of my request for criminal charges. So here we go. Again, this is that really on the ground, one-on-one information gathered here. On December 28th of 2022, affiant was assigned as the primary investigator of the Department of Attorney General case number this one. The affiant was assigned to investigate a possible violation of state felony criminal statutes relating to the forgery of a certificate of votes concerning the electors for president and vice president of the United States in violation of Michigan Code, this section and this section, which occurred on or about December 14th of 2020. The Michigan Code provides in relevant part that any person who falsely makes, alters, forges, or counterfeits a public record with the intent to defraud is guilty of the crime of forgery. A fraudulent certificate of votes done with the intent to defraud is probable cause that a violation of this statute has occurred. Again, probable cause is the standard of proof needed for an indictment. Next, Michigan Code provides that any person who knowingly makes, files, or otherwise publishes a false document for any purpose under the Michigan election law with the intent to defraud is guilty of election law forgery. The making and publishing of a certificate of votes concerning the number of votes cast for each candidate for president and vice president by the electors is a purpose under the election law. Thus, a fraudulent certificate of vote done with the intent to defraud is the probable cause that a violation of this statute has occurred. So again, they're just setting out the code sections. We'll get into some more of the details on the next couple pages. Next, this section of the code provides that any person who utters and publishes as true a false, forged, altered, or counterfeit record, instrument, or other writing listed in section 248, knowing it to be false, altered, forged, or counterfeit with the intent to injure or defraud, is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 14 years. That's a lot. That's a lot when you've been charged with 5 of them. The uttering and publishing of a fraudulent certificate of votes done with the intent to defraud is probable cause that the violation of this statute has occurred. This section of the code provides that any person who conspires together with one or more persons to commit an offense prohibited by law or to commit a legal act in an illegal manner is guilty of the crime of conspiracy. An agreement to gather and sign a fraudulent certificate of votes in violation of the statutes listed in paragraphs 4, 5, and 6 is probable cause that a conspiracy to commit the underlying crime existed. The investigation disclosed that a certificate of votes of the electors is a public document required by law to be filed with the National Archives and President of the U.S. Senate. Over the course of the investigation, it was discovered that a fraudulent certificate of votes of the 2020 electors from Michigan was created, that none of the 16 signatories to this document were lawfully selected electors for the offices of president and vice president, and that the document was made and published with the intent to defraud the National Archives, President of the U.S. Senate, and others. So next, the Constitution of the United States provides in Article 2, Section 1 for the procedures by which each state shall select electors. Just in case anyone's just joining now, we have at the very top sets out, we're in the state of Michigan, an affidavit supporting, and then the people here are the 16 people charged with fraud. Those are set out. So many people, oh, I know, there's a lot, it's a lot. All right, so over the course of the investigation, it was discovered that a fraudulent certificate of votes, 2020 elections in Michigan, was created, that none of the 16 signatures, whatever, and then they defrauded the National Archives. Okay, so back to number 9. Sorry, everybody. The Constitution of the United States provides in Article 2, Section 1 for the procedures by which each state shall elect electors who will elect the persons to serve as a president and vice president. This constitutional provision provides in pertinent part, so this is part of the U.S. Constitution here, the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with vice president chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such a manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves, and they shall make a list of all the persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for the office of President and Vice President of the United States. Electors shall then make a list of the persons voted for and the number of votes for each, which they must sign and certify. 2 persons of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves, and they shall make a list of all the persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. So that's the law. The procedure, so we've got substantive law here. So this is the burrito. So this is how we eat the burrito. The procedure by which Michigan selects presidential electors is set out in Chapter 4 of the Michigan election law. Now, this section 168.42 provides in relevant parts that each political party in this state shall choose at its fall state convention a number of candidates for electors of president and vice president of the United States equal to the number of senators and representatives in Congress that this state's entitled to elect, which was 16. So 2 senators and 14 representatives. The chairperson and the secretary of the state central committee of each political party shall, within 1 business day after the conclusion of the state convention, forward by registered or certified mail a certificate containing the names of candidates for electors to the Secretary of State. The candidate for electors of president and vice president who shall be considered elected are those whose names have been certified to the Secretary of State by that political party receiving the greatest number of votes for those offices at the next November election. Okay, so if you win the election, then the electors chosen for your party are the ones that go forward and cast their votes. Now, in the United States, I did put up a post today on the Electoral College, and in the United States, I think we've got 48 states that have this winner takes it all situation with our electors, where whoever wins the state, then those electors are the ones that sign off for the certification to go. I'm not actually sure which 2 states don't do that, come to think of it, but I know 48 of them do. So I might look that up at some point, but I don't have that with me at the moment. But winner takes it all. So if your general population puts into place the Republican, then the Republican electors are the ones that go forward and vote. In anticipation of the 2020 general election, the 2 major political parties in Michigan met their respective conventions and selected the persons who would serve as candidates for electors of president and vice president of the United States. Maine and Missouri. Oh, very interesting. Texas is all. Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering, because there's only 2 that don't do it that way. Has anyone ever been to a convention where they were electing the electors? It's actually really a fascinating process, depending on where you live. But I highly recommend, if that's something that's interesting to you, to volunteer, go to the convention and see what's going on. As required by the Michigan Code, each of those parties forwarded the names of that party's 16 candidates for elector to the Michigan Secretary of State. The persons identified to the Secretary of State as Republican Party candidates for elector were Burden, Rodriguez, Maddock, Haggard, Vanderwood, Sheridan, Lynn. It's Nebraska and Maine. Oh, okay, Nebraska and Maine. All right, so we had one. We had Maine, okay, but not Missouri. All right. So land, Facinello, Rook, Coate, Henry, Frost, Groot, King, Lundgren, I don't know everybody, I'm sorry, Wall. So all of these were the 16 Republicans, Maine and Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska. You were close. Yeah, Nebraska, Missouri. That's pretty close. All right, so Michigan Secretary of State Representative Adam Fracassi provided a copy of this document. So under Michigan law, it is a provision of the Michigan election law concerning the certification of presidential electors. The provision provides, he is Groot. As soon as practicable, after the State Board of Canvassers has, by the official canvass, ascertained the result of the election as to the electors of President and Vice President of the United States, the governor shall certify under the seal of the state to the United States Secretary of State the names and addresses of the electors of this state chosen as electors of President and Vice President of the United States. The governor shall also transmit to each elector chosen as an elector for President and Vice President of the United States a certificate in triplicate under the seal of the state of his or her election. So this is the law here. Ooh, ow, all right, we got it. This is the law that sets out the procedure for what the certificate's supposed to look like. Now, why this is so important, let me show you here, is because it's so blatantly obvious between the official certificate and the fake one. So let me show you again what those look like to give you a visual aid. So here's the official, right? We've got the seal involved here. So this is what makes everything all official. So this is actually what it is. And then this is what they actually filed. And as you can see, this is clearly not meeting what was set out in the code. So this is, again, the same structure used in Florida and the same template used by all the fake electors. But you can see that they are not within compliance of what's required under that section of the law. So it was pretty clear. Don't tap too hard. That's so funny. Anyway, I think the visuals really help kind of explain how far out everybody was. All right, so in the 2020 general election was held November 3rd of 2020. On November 23rd of 2020, the Michigan Board of State Canvassers met and certified the election results. The board certified that the Democratic Party nominees, Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris, had respectively received the greatest number of votes for president and vice president. He was in a weird, oh no, John, come back. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So they had respectively received the greatest number of votes for president and vice president. That same day, pursuant to Michigan law, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed and issued an amended certificate of ascertainment of the electors of the president and vice president of the United States, which determined that the Democratic electors in the presidential election won approximately 2.8 million votes, while the Republican Party won about 2.65 million votes during the presidential campaign. Specifically, the certificate stated that the persons nominated by the Democratic Party, each having received 2,804,040 votes, were duly elected as electors. Each of the Democratic Party electors listed as duly elected was sent a certificate under seal attesting to his or her election. So again, it's these kinds of details, if you think about it, because we had this, big group of people saying, hey, why don't we just put in an alternate slate of electors? So they're using this legal theory, but without actually looking at the practical part of it. The practical part being what in the code is required of people who are electors. And so here they're setting out, we actually have rules that we have to follow. And those rules were clearly not followed. Had they followed these rules, things might have been a little bit different, only in that they wouldn't have been charged the same. But I think it shows again that intent behind the conspirators who put together this idea that we could even have fake electors, when in practicality, it's not possible to have a second slate of them because you can only comply with this code section with one set of electors. You can't have an alternate set of electors. Is everyone following me on that? So every time they say, well, we had an alternate set in case we won at court. No, there is no alternate set. That is not what the law says. Actually thought this was okay. Yeah, exactly, with no repercussions. I know. All right, so Governor Whitmer's amended certificate of ascertainment of the electors of the president and vice president of the United States, which determined that the Democratic electors were duly elected, listed the Republican nominees as having received 2,649,852 votes. The Republican nominees were not the duly elected presidential electors and had no legal authority to act as duly elected presidential electors. Just like alternative facts. Yeah, exactly. Those were some dark days with those alternative facts, everybody. All right, so Michigan Code is a provision of Michigan election law concerning the convening of presidential electors. The provision provides. So again, here's more of the statutory requirements in order to be an elector. The electors of president and vice president shall convene in the Senate chamber at the Capitol of the state at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December following their election. At any time before receipt of the certificate of the governor or within 48 hours thereafter, an elector may resign by submitting his written or verified resignation to the governor. Failure to resign signifies consent to serve and to cast his vote for the candidates for president and vice president appearing on the Michigan ballot of the political party which nominated them. which nominated him. Refusal or failure to vote for the candidates for president and vice president appearing on the Michigan ballot of the political party which nominated the elector constitutes a resignation from the office of elector. His vote shall not be recorded, and the remaining electors shall forthwith fill the vacancy. So even if someone changed their minds, if they try to cast their vote for a different candidate, then they are disqualified. The ballot used by the elector shall bear the name of the elector. If at any time of the convening there is any vacancy caused by death, resignation, refusal, or failure to vote, neglect to attend, or ineligibility of a person elected, or for any other cause, the qualified electors of president and vice president shall proceed to fill such vacancy by ballot by a plurality of votes. When all of the electors appear and the vacancy shall be filled, they shall proceed to perform the duties of such electors as required by the Constitution and laws of the United States. If Congress hereafter fixes a different day for such meeting, the electors shall meet and give their votes on the day designated by the act of Congress. So again, this is the law that has to be complied with. Tea break, everybody. One moment. Okay, so let's get into some of the details of what happened in Michigan here. So on December 14th of 2020, pursuant to the federal and state law, the lawfully designated electors met at the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan, and cast their votes for the Democratic Party nominees for president and vice president. Pursuant to federal law, certificates of votes were transmitted to the president of the Senate, the Archivist of the United States, the Secretary of State of Michigan, and the Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Michigan. Notwithstanding the certification by the Michigan Board of State Canvassers that the Democratic Party nominees had received the greatest number of votes for president and vice president. Oh, Kristen, thank you. Nominees had received the greatest number of votes for president and vice president. A group of persons identifying themselves as the Republican Party electors, here we go, everybody, now we're getting into it, appeared at the grounds of the Michigan Capitol. Oh no! They came onto the grounds on December 14th, 2020, and asserted the right to cast ballots as electors of the president and vice president. They were turned away by Michigan State Police and were not admitted to the Capitol building. They really thought they were doing something. They did. They really did. On December 14th, 14 of the 16 of the Republican Party candidates for elector met at the Michigan Republican Party headquarters, located here, and executed a document entitled Certificate of the Votes of the 2020 Electors from Michigan. Among those signing the documents were 14 of the elector candidates who had been selected at the Republican Party convention. So they had actually been selected by convention like they were supposed to here. Candidates Land and Wall did not attend the meeting. Thompson was selected to replace Land, and Renner was selected to replace Wall. Both Thompson and Renner signed the documents. Neither Lord nor Wall signed the documents. Notwithstanding the fact that the Democratic Party nominees had been certified by the Michigan Board of State Canvassers as having received the greatest number of votes for president and vice president, the 16 persons who signed the certificate of votes for the 2020 electors from Michigan falsely asserted that they were the duly elected and qualified electors for president and vice president from the state of Michigan. They falsely asserted they met in the state capitol on December 14th at 2 p.m. The documents identified as certificates of filling vacancy of the 2020 electors for Michigan were signed by Burden, their purported chairperson. Land was the previous Secretary of State. Well, that's interesting. Oh, goodness. Very interesting. Okay. So the documents identified as certificates filling the vacancy of the 2020 electors for Michigan were signed by Burden, the purported chairperson, and Rodriguez, the purported secretary. The document has 2 signature pages, each signed by 16 persons. Also on December 14th, Republican candidate for elector Ludgren, Maddox, Sheridan, Thompson, State Representative Rendon, and others appeared at the state capitol building. The group was denied entry by the Michigan State Police. here, and Representative Rendon said the electors were there to cast their votes. An individual who identified himself as an attorney, oh man, these attorneys, I tell you. Mr. Northen presented a manila envelope that was the size appropriate to the 2020 certificate of votes and attempted to deliver the envelope to the Michigan Senate. Northen cited a code section as requiring the electoral votes to be delivered to the Senate chamber at 2 p.m. He further claimed to have the Republican electoral votes in the envelope. This incident was captured on video, uploaded to YouTube, and preserved by the Michigan Department of Attorney General. Quick, everybody, pull it up. No, I'm just kidding. But that's some pretty strong evidence to have a video of that. On January 5th of 2021, the National Archives and Records Administration received by registered mail the original copy of the certificate of the votes of the 2020 electors from Michigan. The document received by this federal agency was the size appropriate for the manila envelope that the group's representative, Northon, was trying to deliver at the Michigan Capitol. It had the return address of Burden, chair of the Michigan Republican Electoral College. The director of legal affairs and policy for the National Archives, Horska, sent a copy of the document and the envelope to the Michigan Department of Attorney General. Good for her. Inside the envelope received by the National Archivist of the United States on January 5th was a document entitled Certificate of the Votes of the 2020 Electors from Michigan. So let's take a look again at exactly what that looks like here. So that is this. So this is exactly what they received in the National Archives. Okay, electoral votes for president and vice president, and it was signed by 16 Republicans who falsely claimed that they were the duly elected and qualified electors for president and vice president of the United States of America from the state of Michigan. The signers also certified that we convened and organized in the state capitol in the city of Lansing, Michigan at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 14th day of December, performed the duties enjoined upon us, and that we proceeded to vote by ballot and balloted first for the president and then the vice president by distinct ballots with 16 votes for both Donald J. Trump and Michael R. Pence. They also certify that the following are two distinct lists, one of all the votes for president and the other of all the votes for vice president, so cast as aforesaid. Also, inside the envelope were two certificate of filing vacancies of the 2020 electors from Michigan. These documents stated by a nomination duly made and seconded, Thompson for land and Renner for wall were elected by the electors present as an elector of president and vice president of the United States of America for the state of Michigan to fill the vacancy in the manner provided by law. The certificate of filing vacancy also states this elector participated in the proceedings as set forth in the record of the Electoral College. This certificate is signed by Kathleen Burden and Ms. Rodriguez. The document is addressed to the President of the Senate, the Archivist of the United States, Secretary of State, and the Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Michigan. Notably, the document includes addresses for the above offices and indicates that two duplicate originals were enclosed. It also indicates that the documents were sent by registered mail to the President of the Senate and the Archivist of the United States, and by, it does seem pretty clear that they broke the law, by certified mail. So again, this is the affidavit to support the counts that are coming up. So the counts will be coming up after they finish kind of setting out these specific facts here. By certified mail to the Secretary of State and the Chief Judge, U.S. District Court for the Western District of Michigan. On May 16th of 2023, Michigan Attorney General Special Agent Gentry Shelby viewed a second document at the United States Senate Archives. The document was received by priority registered mail. The document appeared to be the same as the document received by the National Archives. The document received by this federal department was about the size appropriate to the manila envelope that the group's representatives had been trying to deliver at the Michigan Capitol on December 14th. It had the return address of Burden, chair of the Michigan Republican Electoral College. The The document also indicates on its face that it was sent by registered mail to the President of the United States Senate and the Archivist of the United States, and by certified mail to the Michigan Secretary of State and Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Michigan. It was signed by 16 people who identified themselves as duly elected and qualified electors for President and Vice President of the United States of America for Michigan. The document also states that the electors convened and organized at the Capitol in the city of Lansing, Michigan at 2 p.m. on the 14th day of December. Is it going to be televised? Ooh, I hope it is. That's a great question. I really hope it is. I know the latest I've heard was that one of them had flipped on the others. That's the last thing I've heard about it, but I'm not sure if it will be televised. I would think it could be because it's a state case, so we wouldn't be disqualified. The paperwork is like a signed confession. It really is. It really is. Okay, tea break. Here we go. Special Agent Eduardo Torres, in conjunction with the U.S. Postal Inspector James Vandeput. You never want the U.S. Postal Inspector involved, everybody. I'm just telling you that right now. If this person's involved in something you're doing, something bad's about to happen to you. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. Confirmed that 2 envelopes were mailed from the East Lansing, Michigan post office on December 15th of 2020. Burden's name, address, and the title is printed on the envelope next to the word from. So let's just take a look here. One more time. Okay, I don't have that. This is what the envelope looked like with the address placed. That was very important. That was very important that they had that in the file. So this is all on the National Archives website if you want to pull the records up yourself and look at them. They're all available. Okay, so on November 29th of 2020, Republican candidate for the electors, King, Sheridan, and Haggard filed a complaint in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan alleging voter fraud. These plaintiffs filed a motion for an emergency motion of declaratory emergency and permanent injunctive relief, which sought decertification of the results of the election and a permanent injunction prohibiting the governor and Secretary of State from transmitting the currently certified results to the Electoral College based on the overwhelming evidence of election tampering. They really did produce their own evidence. Absolutely. They really did. Yep. Plaintiffs also asked the court to require Governor Whitmer to transmit certified election results that the state state that President Donald Trump is the winner of the election. The court denied plaintiffs' motion on December 7th. In her opinion and order, Eastern District Judge Linda Parker stated, plaintiffs asked this court to ignore the orderly statutory scheme established to challenge elections and to ignore the will of the people. And you can't do that. The will of millions of voters. This, the court cannot and will not do. The people have spoken. So that's the court. So they did not win in court. The affiant knows, affiant here is the special investigator, knows that the Michigan Republican Party shared this information between leadership and committees. The affiant had gathered evidence to suggest the candidate for electors were also following, sorry, tea break. Whew. I got too excited, everybody. I got to calm myself down here. Election fraud is very exciting. The affiant had gathered evidence to suggest the candidate for electors were also following media coverage of the events. Prior to December 14th, Senate Majority Leader Shirkey and Speaker of the House Chatfield announced that there was no evidence of voter fraud sufficient to affect the results of the election, and that the House and the Senate would not be taking action to contest the electoral vote. The candidate for elector was the Michigan GOP leadership knew prior, and the GOP leadership knew prior to their meeting on December 14th of 2020, there was no legal reason to create an alternate slate of electors. The affiant interviewed several Michigan GOP employees who confirmed that the chairperson, Laura Cox, and the Republican National Committee organized a meeting of the 16 Republican electors on December 14th of 2020 at the Republican headquarters building in Lansing. The affiant interviewed the Michigan GOP staffers, Zamet and Hudson, who were present on December 14th. They stood at the entrance, allowing only the Republican candidates for electors inside. A film crew with attorney Ian Norton was outside in the parking lot but denied entry. Spouses, including Maddock's husband, Representative Matt Maddock, were not permitted to enter. False electors were told no recording equipment was permitted inside. They asked the candidates to surrender their cell phones to prevent recording of the incident. The cell phones went into a box away from the false electors. GOP staff directed the false electors into the basement. Mr. Zamet and Mr. Hudson specifically recall seeing Kathleen Burden, Ms. Rodriguez, Maddox, Sheridan, Thompson in the headquarters on December 14th of 2020. So now we have eyewitnesses placing them there. They wrote this whole plot a year out. The speaker wrote it. Yeah, and yet it was live streamed for the real electors. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. It's fascinating how they really thought this could come together. I mean, it wasn't for lack of planning, but there were a few bits that they needed to really firm up, like, the legal parts. Shady, yeah. The affiant interviewed the Michigan GOP employee, Ms. Toe, who saw Haggard at the headquarters building on December 14th. The affiant interviewed the employee Foster, who admitted calling some of the Republican candidates for elector to invite them to the headquarters on December 14th. Mr. Foster spoke to Burden, Vanderwood, Rodriguez, Henry, and Choate, or Choate. I don't know, Choate. Choate, after December 14th, and they admitted to having been involved. So now we have confessions, all right? So these are some more witnesses they'll be calling. Michigan State Police forensic scientists, Mackenzie Way, confirmed the signatures of Burden, Choate, Choate, Vanderwood, Frost, Henry, Rook, King, and well-planned, poorly executed. I think that's accurate. Yes, that's a good way of saying it. Renner of the certificate of votes of the 2020 electors from Michigan has a match to their own signatures. So now we've got forensic science involved. Juries love that. That's like the jury's favorite thing. The affiant interviewed Lundgren. Lundgren confirms signing the certificate of votes for the 2020 electors from Michigan on December 14th at the Republican headquarters building. Lundgren also confirmed she signed the document with Facinello. On March 5th of 2023, the affiant served a search warrant upon Thumb Cellular to obtain call detail records from Burden's cellular phone for the period of November 1st through January 8th. Thumb Cellular was able to produce text messages, content, and provided data that indicates text messages were sent and received during this period. Thumb Cellular produced the following text message sent on December 14th of 2020 from Burden's cell number to a Republican candidate for elector Haggard's cell number. So here's a direct text, okay? I see Michonne posted on Facebook, even though we were all asked to keep silent as to not draw attention to what the other states were doing similar to ours. Haggard responded, I'm not a big fan in Facebook or have a computer at home. Was she not told at the meeting to keep quiet? Burden said, yes, we all were. And Haggard said, right, if she can't keep quiet after taking the oath, what would she do as vice chair? Yikes. Whew. So let's note we've got authentic text messages here. Texts. Here we go. Noting it. We noted it. Oh my goodness. On or about December 15th, Maddock and Sheridan appeared on the Right Side Broadcasting News program. Both admitted convening at the Republican building in Lansing on December 14th. Both admitted casting their vote for President Trump with the 14 other electors. They carried their electoral ballot to the Michigan Capitol building in an effort to deliver it to the Senate chambers, but were denied entry. Sheridan said copies of this document were sent to the proper location and people. Right. Lots of felonies. Oh, yeah. We got felonies. We got a lot of felonies here. And a lot of evidence. A lot of very clear evidence. On or about December 15th, let's see, Maddock and Sheridan, again, were interviewed about their involvement. Maddock admitted that 16 Republican candidates for the elector held our caucus and certified their ballots for Donald Trump and Mike Pence. She also admitted that they went to the state capitol, introduced themselves as electors, but were denied entrance. Sheridan said they were blocked from the Michigan Capitol. Detroit News reporter M.L. Elric published an article on October 9th of 2022. Mr. Elric confirmed he interviewed Groot, who admitted signing the document pledging support for President Trump. Daily News reporter Elizabeth Walden published an article on August 9th of 2022. Ms. Walden confirmed she interviewed Thompson, who admitted signing the document. So now we've got a lot of confessions. Juries also love confessions. On February 22nd of 2022, we're about to get into the counts, everybody. So here we go. We're wrapping up the last of the facts. The party would feel secure enough to do this in the U.S. I know. It's very interesting. And it reminds me a little bit of this moment that we're having in Ohio, where there are just some lawmakers saying, well, never mind, this doesn't actually count. Like, what? You don't get to do that. Nope. On February 22nd of 2022, Rodriguez was interviewed by the January 6th Select Committee pursuant to an investigative subpoena about this document. She testified that the Republican candidates for electors met in the basement of the Republican headquarters. Trump campaign aide Sean Flynn, who's been charged, spoke to the Republican candidate for the electors at the Republican headquarters in Lansing about an alternate slate of electors. None of the 16 people who signed the document entitled Certificate of the Votes of the 2020 electors from Michigan and was sent certified mail to the National Archives and Record Administration and the United States Senate Archives were legally elected or qualified as the 2020 Michigan electors for president and vice president. The persons who signed the above documents have been identified. There was an I am group. Groot, yes. Burton, Rodriguez, Maddock, Haggard, Vanderwood, Sheridan, Renner, Facinello, Rook, Coate or Choate, Henry, Frost, Groot, King, Lundgren, and Thompson. Yikes. Based on the information contained in paragraphs 1 through 31, I'm seeking a warrant charging each of them with the following. So now we will get into... And there's a connection. Yes, indeed. So we will get into now the actual counts here. So the first count, they've all been charged equally. We need a picture chart. We do. I'm going to make a note of that so I can put together a picture chart. So Michigan electors. Fake. Chart. All right. Yeah, I'll put together a chart. That'll be very interesting. I'm so embarrassed. Well, Michigan's not the only state, I mean, we've got Wisconsin, we've got New Mexico, we've got Arizona, we've got Pennsylvania. Is that right? Is that all of them? Did I get everybody? I mean, it's really frustrating that they thought they were going to get away with it. I know, there are checks in place. There are certain things you have to do. The law is written a certain way. Before pictures and after pictures. Oh, that would be very interesting. Georgia. Thank you, Roberta. Of course. How could I forget Georgia? How could I forget that? People thought this was a company. Yeah. Michigan did great. They bounced. Oh, yeah. They bounced them. The police were like, no, this isn't happening. We're not doing that. And took care of business. All right. Here's count 1. Conspiracy to commit forgery. So, On or about December 14th, 2020, the above named individuals did unlawfully conspire, combine, confederate, and agree together with Kathleen Vernon, Rodriguez Maddock, and other persons to falsely make, alter, forge, or counterfeit a public record with intent to injure or defraud, contrary to Michigan Code section here, certificate of votes for the 2020 electors from Michigan, contrary to Michigan Code, a 14-year felony. So that's pretty significant. Count 2, forgery. So on or about December 14th of 2020, the above named individuals did falsely make, alter, forge, or counterfeit a public record, to wit, president, with the intent to injure, defraud, to wit, certificate of votes for the 2020 electors from Michigan, contrary to Michigan law, a 14-year felony. Count 3, forgery. On or about December 14th of 2020, the above named individuals did falsely make, alter, forge, or counterfeit a public record, to wit, vice president, with intent to injure, defraud, to wit, certificate of votes, the 2020 electors from Michigan, contrary to Michigan Code section, a 14-year felony. No pleas needed. Yes, this will be very interesting how this actually turns out. Count 4, conspiracy to commit uttering and publishing. On or about December 14th of 2020, the above named individuals did unlawfully conspire, combine, confederate, and agree together with Kathleen Bergen, Rodriguez, Maddock, and other persons to, contrary to Michigan Code section, utter and publish as true a certain false, forged, altered, or counterfeit record, instrument, or other writing with the intent to injure or defraud, knowing said instrument to be false, altered, forged, or counterfeit. Said instrument more fully described as follows. Certificate of votes, the 2020 electors from Michigan, contrary to Michigan Code section here, another 14-year felony. So that's 14. So I think there's a total of 5. So we're at count 4. So count 5 then also is a 14-year felony. That's a lot. That's a lot of prison. Yeah, that's a lot of felonies. All right, so that was conspiracy. And then next we have the actual uttering here. So count 5, uttering and publishing. On or about, so remember everybody, conspiracy is the agreement to commit the crime. And then the actual crime itself gets its own category because conspiracy, attempt, and solicitation are inchoate offenses. So just keep that in mind. So it's not a double jeopardy issue. It's actually 2 separate offenses. On or about December 14th of 2020, the above named individuals did utter and publish as true a certain false, forged, altered, or counterfeit record, instrument, or other writing with intent to injure or defraud, knowing said instrument to be false, altered, forged, or counterfeit. Said instrument more fully described as follows. The certificate of votes for the 2020 electors from Michigan, contrary to Michigan Code section, another 14-year felony. Can they make this a bench trial with all the evidence? No, because it's a criminal case, you are guaranteed a right to a jury trial under the 6th Amendment. Now, of course, under the 7th Amendment, the jury trial for civil cases has not been incorporated to the states yet, so that is not a right that you have. But under the U.S. Constitution, for a criminal case, you do have a jury. If you want, you can waive it, but can they defend with bad legal advice? They can try. They can certainly try to. Absolutely. Count 6, conspiracy to commit election fraud or election law forgery. So that would be reliance on counsel defense. They would have to plead that out, and that they could do that. Although technically, I do not believe that they themselves had hired the attorney. So I think that would be a good question. Could they have made this a RICO charge? That's a good question. You know, the RICO cases depend on the states, and I'm really not sure how Michigan sets out their RICO. It seems like this could be a RICO because there was a plan in place and everybody was going towards the same plan. And that's really what RICO's about. And then they're doing different racketeering activities in order to achieve the common goal. So it seems like it would fit into a RICO situation, but I just don't know that Michigan has the law set out the same. Is it possible some of these people didn't know it was illegal? I think it's possible, but I think the text messages and the witnesses show that they knew that they were supposed to keep this quiet, so
I'm not sure that they would be able to show that they didn't know it. And not only that, but even if you didn't know it, that intent element isn't necessarily going to help you much. But I think it's a good question. But again, under the code, it's so specific about how you are to be an elector and how you're not. But I think the text messages are pretty significant. They met in a basement and swore to keep it silent. It seems like those would be, it's kind of hinky, isn't it? It's a bit hinky. It is. You're meeting in a basement. You're told to keep quiet about it. But then you go on television. Like, what? What did you do? Why are we doing that? They knew they had delusions of grandeur. I think there were a lot of people with illusions of grandeur here. And because of those illusions, they were too blind to read the code. You got to read the law, people. Just read it. If you had read it, you would have been in a different spot. But you didn't read it. All right, so, number 43. On or about December here, above named did unlawfully conspire, combine, confederate, and agree together with Bergen, Rodriguez, Maddock, and other people to knowingly make, file, or otherwise publish a false document with the intent to defraud, contrary to Michigan Code section, conspire to commit election fraud or election law forgery, contrary to Michigan Code, which is a 5-year felony. So now we're getting into the 5 years. Before we were at 14, now we're at 5. And they took some kind of oath to keep it secret. Yeah, again, those are, if you're trying to prove a conspiracy, so people getting together and taking substantial steps, which is what a conspiracy is, the fact that you're all taking an oath would definitely be an overt act in furtherance of that conspiracy, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Still peeps in this. Yeah, they really are. They really are. Tea break, everybody. 1 moment. Then we'll get to count 7. Okay, here we go. So count 7, election law forgery. On or about December 14th, 2020, the above named individuals did knowingly make, file, or otherwise publish a false document with the intent to defraud, contrary to Michigan law, a 5-year felony. And then count 8, election law forgery. On or about December 14th, the above named individuals did knowingly make, file, or otherwise publish a false document with the intent to defraud, contrary to here, which is another 5-year felony. So for each of the documents, it's a separate count. So that's why we've got 2 that state the same language. Wherefore, the facts and circumstances developed during an investigation demonstrate probable cause to believe that each of the 16 Michigan residents named herein committed criminal offenses under Michigan law. And then it's signed by that special investigator. They literally have that oath statement as text. They do. So let's take a look again, a little bit of a closer look at the documents that they had submitted here. So let me move this complaint out of the way, and then we can take a look at the docs themselves. So, and then again, this is all available online on the National Archives website. So here is the official. So the actual ones that were officially elected under law, and everything was done according to the rules. I'm surprised these cases are in the news. They literally have, are not in the news. I agree, and I think that's why it's worth talking about. I think, again, each state has a different way that they're dealing with it, and Michigan's the one that's charged right now the most significant. I think it's good to keep it going, to keep talking about it. So here's the official certificate of votes for president and vice president here. This is what it's supposed to look like. State of Michigan here with the Secretary of State's signature. So this is what's required in order for it to be official. And so let's see what they sent in here. Electoral votes of the state of Michigan for president and vice president. So again, they're putting out there that this is somehow official. Let me rework the pages here. Here we go. So this is what they put in. We, the undersigned, being duly elected and qualified electors for President and Vice President of the United States of America from the state of Michigan, and do hereby certify the following. So again, false statements. that we convened and organized in the state capitol in the city of Lansing, Michigan at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 14th day of December 2020 performed the duties enjoined upon us. And that is incorrect, right? The police kept them out. B, that being so assembled and duly organized, we proceeded to vote by ballot and balloted first for president and then vice president by distinct ballots. Why did it take so long to bring this to the point and not 2 years ago? These kinds of investigations, they take a long time. I mean, they really do, everybody. It seems like, if they knew what had happened right away and they had all the paperwork, why couldn't it have been done sooner? But in a case of this magnitude involving election law violations, I mean, they got to make sure that the investigation is done completely correctly. They sent it on a Pizza Hut placemat. It kind of feels like it, doesn't it? See that the following are two distinct lists, one of all of the votes for the president and the other of all the votes for the vice president, so cast aforesaid. Now, again, when I've shown all of these false ballots before, they all looked the same. They're all copied off of the Wisconsin electors. So Wisconsin and Georgia elector ballots look similar to these ones, unlike what their actual legitimate ones look like, which is this, which they would have known if they had read the law. So for president here and then for vice president. So they put those in, sent that to the archivist. Now we've got our certificate filling a vacancy here. So we've got that one person who was knocked out, Mr. Wall, and he was replaced by Renner. And then I think we've got another vacancy. Yes, I think we talked about that at another time. Here is the Postal Service here. I don't really want to dox anybody here. Just a moment. But trying to make my hand work. Come on, hand, work with me, people. Are the witnesses charged as well? No, not at this point. So, come on, there we go. Oh, we got it. I got it. All right, so here's a copy of the envelope. Phew, that's a lot of work. We have the energy to overthrow democracy, but not the energy to Google an image. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, the truth of that statement is truly bringing tears to my eyes. Absolutely, do your research. Oh my gosh. All right, so here we go. We've got priority mail sent to the archivist of the United States. I guess the archivist can't be doxxed. So there, we'll just leave their address. But you can see here it's dated December 15th, right there. Like, come on, people. Oh my goodness. All right, and then here was the other one. That was easier than covering up video. Well, yeah. Here we've got a Land who was replaced by Thompson. So there's another vacancy. And then everybody's witnesses. We, the undersigned, have hereunto the city of Lansing and the state. So these are the witnesses set out here. Again, but they're all signing it. So these are all of the people who've been charged are the ones that signed. All right, so we've got each person. We've got Thompson, Ludgred, King, Groot, Frost, Henry, Coate or Choate, Rook, Burden, Rodriguez, Maddock, Haggard, Vanderwood, Sheridan, Renner, and Facinello. All right, Trump fired their research assistant. That's possible. So there you have it, everybody. They have all been charged. Now, rumor has it that one has flipped, and so there may be some more flipping going on, but I'm not sure who it was that's flipped or what the schedule is, but I think it's good to keep Michigan in our thoughts. Yeah, Groot. I'm not sure if it was Groot or Groat or Grot. Grut? I don't know. Oh, my pronunciation's always off. But yeah, so this is Michigan at the moment. I think they've got a pretty strong case, and these kinds of cases aren't really that difficult to prove when you're dealing with forgery because you've got the document and you've got, or grit, because you've got the document. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, I don't know when they will be going to trial on this. Love to hear what they have to say, whoever flipped. I agree, Sarah. I agree. And I'm not sure who it was. I thought it was one of the dudes, but I really can't remember who it was. All I knew was that they were pretty excited about it. Documents case with the video. Yes, so apparently the video, everybody, is on the YouTube. You can go and look at the video of the electors, of the fake electors standing outside of the state capitol of Michigan being turned away by the state police. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I thought I read it was Flynn. Yeah, it was Flynn who was there. Flynn was there. He was one of the people telling them what to do. It is, yes. One of the ladies was trying to play dumb and say she didn't know. I'm sure. And that would be one of your best defenses, right? That you would say, I had no idea. I was told by people smarter than me. It's the same thing that Jenna Ellis said. Like, I relied on a lawyer who was much more experienced than I was, and I didn't do my own due diligence. And, they can definitely didn't go down those roads. But those are going to be their best defenses. Are they going to be the most persuasive? I don't know. I really don't know. Then she will know. Yeah, she'll learn. Yeah, exactly. They're all learning. Didn't even try to hide it. Yeah, and that's what's so, fascinating about a lot of these different situations here is that there's no hiding. Like, they legit think that it's okay. But if they'd taken time to read the law, they would realize, no, it's not. That's not okay. So let's do an overview of what's coming up, everybody. We'll take a look at this next week and see how we're doing. Meeting in a basement. Yeah, I agree. Has more to lose than considering he was charged. Exactly. Yeah, and we haven't seen much filed from Flynn. We haven't seen very many things filed. So everybody else has been filing to move it to federal court. They've been filing motions for demurs. They've been filing all kinds of stuff. But Flynn's not filed anything. Really, he's filed only a couple of things. So I think it's interesting. Charges were dropped for... Oh, was it him? Okay, was it Renner? Okay. I wasn't sure. I thought it was somebody. Look at the name to the DoorDash order in the basement. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah, we got witnesses all over the place between getting your license via college versus online. Well, I don't know. I've got some problems with some of these attorneys charged out of Georgia. They went to some pretty good schools. Youngest person was 55 and 56. The rest are really interesting. I did not know that. That's very interesting. So, yeah, you could have looked up the law, people. I'm just saying. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, if it sounds like, hey, we can just pick whomever we want, even if we lose. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is, right? In the Michigan, well, very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so here's what's going on in Trump world, everybody. Let me give you an overview. They're all seniors. Yeah, it's just sad. Because they're looking at 5 felonies at 14 years each, plus multiple 5-year felonies. Again, if they run it all concurrent, so all at the same time, it's 19 years minimum or maximum. So 14 years plus 5 years, so 19 years total running concurrently. That's a lot. Again, I don't know if it's appropriate for there to be jail time or prison time involved, but that's what they're charged with. So we shall see what happens. All right, so tomorrow, apparently, we have a hearing on Judge Ingron's order for summary judgment out of the New York civil case. Now, I wrote this down specifically from an order that was issued. I've not seen it docketed anywhere, though. So this is a soft, what I would say in the business, this is a soft hearing, meaning I think it's happening, but it might not be. I'm pretty sure, but I have a question mark here. So, elected official, really? That's interesting. Oh my goodness. The plot thickens. Make them serve in a convalescent hospital. Oh my gosh, they committed crime, so they should do the time just like anyone else would. I agree, but not all forgery cases wind up in prison. But this is a pretty significant one. Did this in tandem with other efforts to overthrow the government. Take the dentures away. That may be cruel and unusual to do that. But yeah, for sure. Humbledork's army. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So here we go. We got the soft hearing again on Monday. Tuesday's open. Look at that. That's refreshing. That's not going to be happening much from now on. We've got a couple of different motions due in the Florida case. So expert disclosures were talked about being due in Florida, although those dates have probably been changed. So on the 15th, everybody, I do plan to go over to my Tube of You channel, and I will be live streaming. I think I'm going to be doing those on Wednesdays from now on. So Wednesdays, I will be over on my Tube of You channel, and we will hit some topics over there. And then on Thursday, we will be back. We've got security clearances due in Florida on Thursday. We've got defendants' reply to government's motions to dismiss response is due in DC, although I think that date's been changed a little bit. Defenses in Florida are due. We've got the DC appeal of the gag order hearing is on the 20th. So that hearing is firm. That's a hard hearing, not a soft hearing. That's a hard one. That's a firm one. And then we've got the Florida discovery questions going on here. Response in DC is due the 24th. DC motions to compel then for those affidavits that we've been kind of lobbing back and forth, right? The affidavits like bring documents that we think exist but have no proof actually exist, but please bring them. So those motions due on the 27th. And then a status conference set for Florida on the 28th, although I believe that has been moved. So that's kind of it. Now keep in mind too, in New York, in the civil case, we are moving to defense. So Friday we had our last of the testimony going on. So the AG rested their case in chief. Now defense's turn to put their case in chief on. They'll be calling their witnesses. I will probably be going over tomorrow. I'm going to be going over the Ohio situation, but I probably will also tack on to that the AG's opposition to some of the experts that the defense has proposed to put up. So we'll probably go through both of those next. Then we've got on December 1st, so on that Friday, all motions that are not motions in limine are due in Georgia. Now, a motion in limine is something filed saying that a particular piece of evidence is in violation of the rules, so it needs to be kept out of court. You can't put it in front of the jury. That's what a motion in limine is. So any other motions, like an affirmative motion could be put in, any other kind of motions, all come in on the first for the Georgia case. We still don't have a setting for the trial yet. We haven't seen that. We did have the demurs denied in Georgia, but we've not seen a lot of movement. We'll see what happens with that. So, oh my goodness. John, be careful. Oh my gosh. All right. So then on the 4th, we've got the SIPA in Florida issue. We're dealing with that. And then we've got 404B notice in the District of Columbia case. So 404B notice is a rule of evidence, and it has to do with character. So if we've got, bad acts or character evidence, things like that that are going to be needed to be used, the notice has to be given from the state. So that'll be set out there. Probably one of the most important things here, we've got the 11th Circuit oral arguments about Meadows removing his case from Georgia into federal court. That will be set for the 15th. We also have exhibits, exchange, and replies to motions to compel are due here. So this will be a big day in the DC case. The New York civil case is technically scheduled to finish up on the 22nd, although there's been talk that it may finish earlier. It may be done by the 18th. So there's been some discussion about that. Then back to DC, all motions in limine and motions to suppress are going to be due on the 27th. Also 17C opposition. So all of those subpoenas, again, oppositions to those will be due. Defense response to the advice of counsel defense issue that's been going on in the Florida case. That's going to be due there. Then skipping ahead in January is really going to turn the page. We've got the Carroll damages trial, right? So let us not forget, we still have that defamation case going on with Miss Carroll in New York. So that's still going on. And we've got the New York criminal hearing will be set for the 4th of January. So we still have that New York criminal case set for May. So those are still ongoing. I mean, nice early Christmas present. Well, yeah, I mean, that's technically it is supposed to finish up here. But again, I think the AG said it looks more like the 18th they would be finishing up. But the AG's already done with their part of it. So it's up to the defense counsel. So we've got, again, anything in orange are the DC cases. Anything in pink are the Florida cases. Purple is the defamation case. And then blue, of course, is New York. So we've got multiple rules coming in, lots of things happening here. The 15th, we've got the Iowa caucuses. So that'll be the first big moment, I guess, for the election. And then really, pretrial motions in Florida are due the 22nd of February, which is a huge sign that the case is actually going to go. And then boom, we're into March. And in March, we've got the DC trial set for the 4th. And the criminal case in New York is set for the 25th. I'm not sure what's going to happen here because a criminal defendant has to be present for criminal cases. We've got a federal case and a state case. The federal case will always win out. But if this trial isn't done in 3 weeks, then this trial will get bumped. So we will, the state case will get bumped if he's still in trial in DC because he has to be there. He has to be present. I don't know how long the case in DC is going to go for. But if it's just beginning on the 4th, it's going to take at least a couple weeks for voir dire. So I would imagine that New York date will get bumped because of that priority. His defense is going to take any amount of time in New York. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure how he's going to possibly juggle all of this. I can't even imagine, honestly. I mean, I'm just trying to keep his attorneys straight. I don't know how he's keeping any of them straight. He's got attorneys in all different jurisdictions, civil cases and criminal cases. It's a lot. It really is a lot. So then bumping through April, that pushes us into May, where technically Judge Cannon came in just recently again and reaffirmed that 20th day in May is when the Florida trial is supposed to be going. He's using my calendar. No! Oh my goodness. He doesn't even know who the president is. Well, yeah, I mean, that's important. He should really know. Plus campaigning. Yes, so there's the campaigning going on. And if you'll note, when we go back to March, Super Tuesday, of course, is the 5th. And so this is a pretty big deal to start your DC trial on the 4th. And then on the 5th is like Super Tuesday. It's a lot, everybody. It's a lot. Honestly, I mean, for any human being, this is a lot, much less someone who's running for president. I mean, it's a lot. I don't know how it's going to happen. But that's the docket, everybody. That's what we're looking at. So for tonight, I will just wrap up here by saying I will be going through issue 1 and the Ohio Constitution, the rules setting out that amendment. And then we'll kind of go into this discussion that some of the Republicans there have been having, where no amendment can overturn the God-given rights with which we were born. Like, what? What does that even mean? So we'll go through that. We'll go through that tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have time to also hit the AG's request to have certain experts from defense side to be stricken. So we'll do that tomorrow as well. So yes, thank you for coming, everybody, to the sub night. To everyone who's just hanging out with us, it's wonderful that you could just come and hang out and learn a few new things. And for those in the sub chat, always I'm very thankful for your support and wonderful to see you all. And we will, I think Sundays will be okay, maybe earlier, but we'll see. But this week seemed to be all right. But have a wonderful night, everybody. I'm going to go off and ice. Oh my gosh, everybody, be careful. if you're having a bad dream, everybody, be careful. Yes, I'm love to see all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you, moderators, as always. And I wish everybody the absolute best. We will be going through Ohio tomorrow. So have a fantastic night. This is going to be ugly here as I try to use a hand that doesn't quite work. Here There we go. There we go. We got it. Phew. Have a great night, and I will see everybody tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time. Bye, everybody.